So synonyms are really important for two reasons. You'll hear them in the listening section every single time. They'll have words in the text that you need to look at to help you fill in the blanks. And those words will probably not be the words that you hear them say in the audio section. In the audio section, they'll say something that's a synonym. So you'll need to know those synonyms to understand what you need to write. So second reason they're good is when you're speaking, during the speaking portion of the test, if you use synonyms, you will get a higher score. It's just straight that way. If you're saying the same words over and over and over, you won't get that high score because you're not showing that you have a wide range of vocabulary. You have a limited range of vocabulary. So trying to use synonyms is really beneficial to you. Again, we have synonyms. I wrote some out here for you. So commonly, most people use the word important, but another synonym for that is essential, right? Something is essential is also important. Hate is a commonly used word, or don't like something, dislike it. And another not so commonly used one is loathe. If you loathe something, you really hate it. Like is commonly used. But fancy, at least for Americans, fancy is not used very much. If you watch a lot of British shows, you might hear the word fancy a lot, like, do you fancy that? But we tend to use it as an adjective. We don't tend to use it as a verb, to fancy something. It's kind of weird for us to say. Sometimes the words are more commonly used in a different English-speaking country. Our next one, tired, commonly used word. And then our British word is knackered. Knackered is not a word we use at all in America. Actually, I think the first time I heard it was by a friend of mine who's British. And I had to ask him, what does that mean? I could understand through context, but I did not understand at first because he said it kind of out of context. Friend, commonly used word. Mate, not so commonly used, but mate and friend have a similar meaning. And mate actually appears in a lot of different words as part of a word, like roommate, housemate, right? So mate is usually used as a noun. It can be used as a verb. I'll let you look that one up. Our next one, garbage, and then rubbish. Rubbish is a commonly used word for British people, and that's why I have a little British guy down here. In section 12, we're going to be looking at keywords, and we want to match them with the meaning of the sentence below. So what keywords in the sentence tell us about the sentence? So the first one is done for us. The title of the course the speaker wants to do is the name of the course. So name and title, they are synonyms. So that one is easy. Number 4, Valerie?
Number 4, I think, is the purpose of the course.
The purpose of the course, yes. So we have the word aims. When we talk about the aim of something, we're talking about that purpose. You're right. Purpose and aims. Look at the information about what happens in part 2 of a speaking test. So the first one is the examiner gives you a topic card. Second one, you read the topic card. When you're reading the topic card, if you don't understand some of the words or maybe the question or the topic itself, you should ask. You should ask the examiner right away. That way you don't go into it blind and then you talk about completely wrong subjects, right? Or you don't understand what's going on, and so you aren't able to talk about it because you don't understand what the questions are like. So don't be afraid to ask about your topic card. Number 3, take some notes, right? You get a minute for taking notes. You gotta use it. Don't waste your minute, and write the notes down. That way it helps you keep on subject. Keep it organized, right? Some people, they get a little bit lost in what they're saying, and then that's when they make mistakes. They pause, they say too little, or they say too much, right? and you should talk for around 2 minutes. The examiner might cut you off a little early if they have a good idea, but the earliest they'll cut you off is maybe 90 seconds, right? And if you speak too long, that's okay. The examiner will tell you when you should stop if you speak for too long. So better to speak more than less. And then the examiner will tell you when to stop talking. And then the examiner might have some follow-up questions for you. Maybe something you said the examiner didn't quite understand, or maybe he wants to know a little bit more about something that you were talking about. So you might have some more opportunities to improve your part 2 when the examiner asks you questions afterward. So that's the order in which it happens. Let's go on to our topic card itself. So the topic card looks like this. It'll be a little slip of paper. They hand it to you, and you get to look at it while you take your notes. So describe a time when you learned something new. You should say what you learned, how you learned it, what the result was, and explain how you felt about learning something new. So what the result was is maybe the hard one. Result. Well, what did you get out of it? Right? At the end, did you like using it? Did you continue to use whatever it is after you learned how to use it or learned it? Maybe something in school. Maybe you learned how to do something interesting like skydiving or scuba diving or I don't know, playing an instrument. Did you keep with it? Right? What was the result? Or did you find that you didn't like what you learned and you never did it again? Right? So that's what the result is referring to. And as always, with all part 2, we want to talk about our feelings, right? And they use the past tense here, felt, right? How did you feel? Well, I felt great. I felt confused. I felt angry. So we're going to use some of those adjectives that we practiced last time, the ing adjectives or the ed adjectives. I felt bored, right? It was boring. I felt bored. So you can express it in several different ways using the ed and ing adjectives. So the things here, you want to identify the 4 parts as soon as you get the card. What, how, the result, and the feeling, how you felt. Okay, let's go on to note taking. I don't recommend not taking notes and just looking at the topic card because you'll waste time reading the sentences on the topic card. So at the very least, you should write an outline of the topic card. You should write what, when, where, how, feelings, result, future. You don't need to write these notes here on next to it, but you could at least write an outline of the topic card to help you have like an order to it and not have to read the questions on the topic card. I often have students reading the questions out loud while they're in the middle of speaking, and they lose points because of that. They're wasting time by reading to me when they should be speaking about it directly, right? So for note taking, you have 2 options. You can write an outline. I prefer to write an outline because it kind of has an order to it. I start with the what. I picked the subject skateboarding. So this is a new thing I learned, right? When? Well, I was 13 years old when I started skateboarding. Where? In my neighborhood with my friends. How did I learn? I didn't take a class or anything. I just used trial and error. What trial and error means is you try it, and if you're successful, good. If you're not, well, you try again, right? And when maybe the error is really bad and you get hurt. And then sometimes maybe your friends learn something from their friends and they teach you, right? Feelings, well, I felt frustrated sometimes when I couldn't do something, felt painful when I fell down. I felt really accomplished when I managed to do something that was new to me, right? The result, well, my knees have lots of scars on them now. I hurt myself a lot. And nowadays I don't do trick boarding anymore. I don't do tricks anymore. I just longboard. So I have a long skateboard and I continue to do that. So we talk about either the future of the past, right? But I started learning obviously in the past, and that's why I would say nowadays I have a longboard. It's now. And then we could always end it by talking about the future, right? So in the future, I'll probably continue to skateboard, but I'll only use it for traveling short distances. So something within maybe 3 or 4 kilometers of my house, I might longboard there. But I don't usually go around longboarding for fun, right? And one thing to note, you can always look at the topic card while you're making your notes and during the speaking section. The other option, using a brainstorm chart. I know a lot of people like to do this. It's more difficult, I think, because there's not really an order to it. I guess if you always start at the top and go in a circle, I guess it would be okay. But that's why I don't prefer to use the brainstorm. I like the outline personally. Having an order when you're giving a speech is really important. So those are some options for note taking.